Welcome, everyone, to this new episode of Be Invincible podcast. And we have a special guest, a supporter of women entrepreneur, Neeru Sood, who is mostly into entrepreneurship. And she's evolved, like just now I was discussing whether she's evolved from the traditional marketing to the digital marketing world as well. And I would like Neeru to introduce yourself, please, and let everyone know what is your background and what exactly you do for the community.
Sure. So, hello all. It's a pleasure to be with Ajinkya today on his live podcast, Be Invincible. So, I am Neeru Sood, and I am basically a brand marketer and have been hardcore into brand management and brand building since years now. If I speak of my educational background also, I'm a bachelor's in pharmacy followed by PGDBM marketing
Mhm.
from Delhi University, and I have been in corporate world for almost 10 years, wherein I have assisted pharmaceutical and healthcare companies in their product management, in their marketing management domain.
Okay.
And I have led the pharmaceutical brands and built the pharmaceutical brands there. Thereafter, I started on my own and as an entrepreneur, and I have led always a role in strategic marketing. As Ajinkya mentioned, that how I evolved my role from traditional marketing as the times were moving, as the dynamism of marketing was moving. I also evolved. I also upskilled, upgraded my knowledge, and today I am a digital marketer, but with a strategic marketing niche. So this combination I'm still pursuing, and I'm really fond of the word called marketing per
Yeah, I
se.
know. I
Yeah.
know. Marketing is, I think, one of the most important factors which most of the entrepreneurs just overlook or maybe just don't give that much attention to, right? I think
Yeah.
in today's world, marketing for everyone is running Facebook and Instagram ads. I think that is one myth people have it. But why do
Yes.
you talk about branding, right?
Yeah.
What do you suggest all the s- entrepreneurs about branding and importance of branding and what it is?
So I would say, Ajinkya, yes, as you rightly put forward, that the basic myth that digital marketing is Facebook ads and Meta ads, Instagram ads, posting, posting, posting. That is what is marketing all about. But frankly speaking, people have to understand that marketing is not only posting and digital presence. Marketing is much beyond that. First of all, a person has to understand the value of their own brand, whether it is in product segment or it is in services segment. They have to understand the meaning or the value proposition that a brand has to offer to
Right.
its customers, and thereafter promote it. By that I mean that one has to be a brand marketer, a marketer, a brand owner, a product owner, a service owner, has to be very clear about what does his or her brand stand for.
Right.
How do his or her brand is perceived by the customers? What is the value proposition being offered by the brand?
Right.
What is the value that customers get if a brand is bought by them or is purchased by them? So, this is what is marketing, and not just promoting it digitally.
Right.
That is only a channel. Today, if we say that digital media has, it has outgrown print media, it has taken over print media, print world,
Right.
because the people are spending most of their time digitally. That is how the media has changed. That
Correct.
is how the channel of communication has changed. But marketing is much beyond that. Marketing is actually communication, the right communication to the right customers. That is what marketing is.
Right. And I think when I talk about branding, how do someone think about how should they brand themselves? Because what I have been listening at branding is something which is you create a big name, right? And these small business owners restrict themselves because the thought process which comes in their mind is I'm not going to be that big. Why to invest time in that? Just let go how it is going, right? So how do you break that myth, and how should people think about building their brands, right? Be it
So,
small or big. Yeah.
yeah, I understand. Ajinkya, according to me, no one is big or small. One has to first of all lay down their, goals clearly. What do they actually want to achieve? If they are launching a product or service in the market, or
Hmm.
if they are wanting to market a product or a service in a marketplace, then what is their objective? that their core objective, their passion only will drive, their end results.
Hmm.
Because till the time they are clear about their own goals and their own objectives, they cannot drive their brand, first of all.
Right.
Secondly, it is not for them to decide whether a brand will be small or a big brand. It is for the market to decide. They have to make their set of efforts for sure. For
Hmm.
that, they have to be clear that what is their objective, how big they want to grow, because accordingly they will invest all types of resources into it,
Right.
whether it is time, whether it is energy, whether it is money, whether it is marketing muscle, you know so everything will be decided based on their own objectives, their own goals that they have set for themselves as an entrepreneur.
Right.
It is not about whether I can grow or whether I can't grow. It is all about what goals have you set for them for yourself in the long term. How do you see yourself in the long term as an entrepreneur, and in which niche you want to grow? That is extremely important.
Right.
So
But I
this is,
think if you have goals, only having goals, is it enough? Or you should have a vision and a mission, and then all the goals should drive through that. How do you think?
yeah, so very rightly put forward. So first of all, it is extremely important to have a vision. Vision means your long-term goal, long-term roadmap.
Yeah.
What do you see yourself? How do you see yourself 10 years from now, 15 years from now? Once you have the vision clear, once you have that long roadmap clear,
Hmm.
then you know what is your short-term goal or short-term, vision, which is called as the mission.
Right.
Mission is always a short term. So, what are you going to achieve in the next 1 or 2 years? That is your mission.
Right.
And based on your mission, you have to actually arrive at the finer objectives. You have to arrive at the achievable objectives, because
Right.
then only once you achieve the first objective, then you move on to the second objective, then you move on to the third objective, and so on and so forth. Because till the time you start achieving your objectives in smaller forms, in a measurable manner, in a time bound manner, you will not be able to proceed further. So
Right.
it is important to break down that bigger vision, that bigger goal into smaller goals, and
Hmm.
then have deadlines for you. For each and every smaller goal, you must have a deadline for yourself,
Hmm.
and then keep achieving that deadline, because that gives you an internal energy, an internal positive energy to move forward,
Right.
especially in today's times where nothing is certain.
Right.
You don't know how things will perform, how technology will change,
Right.
how AI will take shape. So ultimately, smaller goals in a time bound manner become extremely important.
Right. And I think when what I feel that there is a lot of struggle for these business owners to understand what should they do first. Like, should they hire a team? Should they build processes? Or should they build systems and standard operating procedures? So, what, according to you, should be a sequence an entrepreneur or to be an entrepreneur should do to build up a successful business, right? So, what should you recommend?
So, according to me, first and foremost, the person should do a feasibility study. If
Hmm.
they think their idea can do well, their
Right.
product can do well, this is their assessment about the whole thing, but this is their assessment. So
Hmm.
they have to do a market feasibility study, that
Okay.
whether this product holds a market, whether this service holds a market, is there a demand, is there going to be a pull demand or not, or is it only I am going to push it as a product and service. So
Right.
first and foremost, a market research, a market feasibility study is extremely important.
Correct.
Once the entrepreneur is clear about the demand, it's clear that yes, this product holds promise, this
Mhm.
service holds promise, and whatever offerings I'm going to make, this is going to hold promise.
Right.
Then the entrepreneur has to start thinking about the processes, like
Okay.
how he's going to set up the processes. Does he need a team to start with, or can he handle alone to start with?
Yeah.
Does he want to pick up, maybe some outsource a few services, and handle the core jobs himself, to start with? And once he is in that revenue generation stream, probably he can think of expanding the team.
Right.
Thirdly, he needs to think about that how much investment he wants to put in the business, in order to see that okay, whether the performance is coming or not, because there has to be a time period set for that.
Hmm.
I'm going to observe for next 1 year that how much investment I'm going to put into this, so that it starts giving me back,
Right.
returns back. Then he needs to see whether he wants to put in more money into that or not. So the initial few objectives have to be observed in a measurable manner. When
Right.
he sees himself going in a positive direction, then he needs to see how much he needs to expand, how much he now needs to put into marketing, whether he should expand from one channel to another channel. So he needs to strengthen his marketing also in a stepwise manner.
Right.
To start with, he may strengthen his presence on one channel, and thereafter he can think of expanding it to Instagram. He can expand further on to personal branding efforts on LinkedIn, or he can think of even building a website and then
Right.
marketing a website. So
Right.
it has to be a slow and steady affair.
Right.
It cannot be the case that he jumps into the ocean but does not measure it. So
Right.
measurement of results, measurement of achieving objectives in a time bound manner is
Mhm.
extremely important.
Correct.
So, this is what I feel.
Right. I've heard many coaches and consultants nowadays talking something about speed and stability, right?
Right.
Which is basically you do fast, but you also be stable, right? Which
Exactly.
which I think a little different way because I have been, growing myself socially, right? Social media's way. And I felt that this growth is steady and slow. You can't pump in money, you can't push in, a lot of digital marketing efforts to grow yourself because that growth is not organic, that growth is not loyal, and you might not get anything out of it, right? But what I feel is all of this, like you rightly said, that you have to identify the investment. And in
Correct.
Indian mentality, I have experienced that I've seen people are not ready to invest in first. They always want to think about how they can do something for free.
Free, and how do they get fast results?
Exactly. So what do you have to say about it? Like,
So, very rightly, you said that people are talking about speed and stability at the same time. But very important to understand is that paid marketing in digital media will give you results only and only if you have an organic base.
right.
It is extremely important to understand that even if you start with your paid marketing efforts on any of the digital channels for that matter,
Mhm.
you will first need to have an organic base. Why? Because each and every digital media first studies your organic reach. It first tries to identify what kind of, for example, they will try to assess that with the organic follower base, what kind of gender mix you have achieved, what kind of demographic mix you have achieved,
Right.
what kind of age target audience, what age bracket of target audience you have achieved,
Hmm.
what is the geography, what is the educational background. So ultimately, that organic follower base will first have a demographic mix,
Right.
which the digital channel will study. Thereafter, when you do paid marketing, it will ask you, do you want to promote this to the followers of your kind, or do you want to choose a TG of your own? Because
Hmm.
then it will make a sense of doing paid marketing.
Correct.
So as you said, speed and stability. So it in itself answers that it is
Yeah.
stability first. It is
Right.
stability first.
Right.
For a few months, especially on digital media, one has to go stable first,
Yeah.
and then one has to catch up on that speed part.
Right.
So when you're going stable, you also get the confidence that the product and services receiving the kind of traction it must receive. So
Right.
once that confidence comes, now you want to put in money, and then again you observe, then you again put in some amount of money, then you again observe. So it is a cyclical process.
Hmm.
It is always a cyclical process, and as they say in marketing, you should have smart objectives.
Right.
Should have specific, measurable, action oriented, result oriented, and time bound. Time bound. So the smart objectives, laying down smart objectives is extremely important for
Right.
any entrepreneur for that matter.
Right. What do you recommend people who wants to be like in an entrepreneur journey? How important is an investment in themselves and in their effort to grow themselves as an entrepreneur is like an investment because I feel that investment in the sense of time, money, and knowledge. What do you think? What do you recommend people should do and build a mindset in terms of investing? For example, if I have to invest in a mentor, I should not think twice before I started investing in a mentor because I believe a mentor is very important to grow as an entrepreneur. Because you've been in non-entrepreneur background, coming into an entrepreneurship, you need a mentor. What do you think? What do you think about that?
So, Ajinkya, it is important to upgrade one's skills. आजकल के टाइम पे तो हम ये कह ही नहीं सकते, we cannot say that one can have the same set of skills, same set of knowledge, that old traditional school of thought and proceed forward with the market. No, you
Mhm.
are learning every day.
Right.
You're learning not just from your exposure, you're also learning from your experiences. You're learning from your knowledge that you're grasping from the internet, from the Google, from the books, wherever access you have. As you said ki mentor bhi appoint karna chahiye ya nahi karna chahiye. So it all depends ki the upon the person's and the individual's flexibility and his approach to gaining knowledge.
Hmm.
Somebody will be more tuned to learning from a mentor, whereas somebody would be more tuned to learning from a online channel or an online academy, or enrolling himself for an online course,
Right.
and learning in having those tints of learning along with the work. So
Right.
it depends upon the individual in himself as well, and
Mhm.
that decision is very very individualistic, that how he wants to grow and upgrade his knowledge base. But this is for sure that he has to be open minded, he has to be, or she has to be open minded, and they have to understand that it is the need of the hour if
Right.
they have to grow. आज अगर इंस्टाग्राम का अल्गोरिथम भी समझना है, या फेसबुक का अल्गोरिथम भी समझना है, या लिंक्डइन का फॉर दैट मैटर, so we have to be updated on the algorithm knowledge. Only then
Right.
we can understand.
Correct.
Similarly, if I need to today understand that only making a website is not important.
Correct.
Also, what is important is content marketing,
Right.
because you are having a website in your the same niche, you will have 20 more players having a website. So if you want to have yourself predominantly visible as far as Google searchability is concerned, you
Right.
have to you have to jump into even content marketing.
Correct.
So if you don't have the knowledge of that, you will never think of that as an option.
Agree.
So ultimately, you have to be, aware. Your general awareness, your awareness about the market, your awareness about what entrepreneurs are doing
Mhm.
for upskilling is very, very important. And you have to be open-minded. So as
Absolutely.
your podcast title also says that, an invincible approach
Right.
is something which has to be there. आज के
Correct.
time में उसके बिना नहीं चलेगा.
Agree.
That is what
Yeah.
it is.
I think you rightly said there are a lot many players in the same niche you might be in, and people who are listening to this, I would want to ask you this question: how would someone think about branding and positioning themselves something different than others? Like how should that mindset, or what should they take steps in terms of identifying and positioning themselves in the market?
So, Ajinkya, it very much depends upon the product
Okay.
and the service that they are offering in the market. So,
Okay.
I always, talk about this in my sessions, that individuals or the product offer have to identify the features and the advantages and the benefits of their products and services.
Right.
Features means something like a specification,
Hmm.
that okay, this product is this much tall, this much, in height, this much in depth, made of this material, which is going to last for these many years. So these are the features,
Right.
durability, which are talk. Like when we come to the advantages, if it is this much in height, then it can fit in this corner of your home, this
Right.
product. Then this is the advantage. But what is the benefit? Benefit is the something which touches the end customer exact requirement.
Okay.
Like, suppose the requirement was that he wanted a corner table in a living room. Okay, if you are telling him the size, if you're telling him the material, all those are specifications. But if you're telling him that his pain point was a corner table which must fit into the living room aesthetically and
Hmm.
look very beautiful also and pleasing also, so that is the benefit that the customer gets.
Hmm.
And the second benefit that customer gets is that a good product at a competitive cost. So he has these many savings to make. So
Correct.
ultimately, when you talk about the benefits, always benefits will draw the brand positioning and the value proposition for a brand.
Right.
So that is what I always tell entrepreneurs, that never make your brand positioning statements which are related to features and advantages.
Okay.
Always correlate your brand positioning statement with the benefits which exactly match with the pain points of the customer, which are
Right.
solving the pain points which a customer has, the basic needs that the customer has when he is going to buy a product or service in a particular niche.
Right.
That
So,
is what.
for example, if I understand it correctly, don't sell what you want to sell. Sell
Yeah.
what people wants to buy. Is that fair
Exactly.
statement?
So yes, so they are, you very rightly said, Ajinkya here. So don't sell with the seller reasons.
Right.
Sell with the buyer reasons.
Right.
Sell, always identify the buyer reasons and then make a brand positioning for yourself.
Right.
Never identify the seller reasons or the marketeer reasons to sell a product or service.
Correct.
Always and always identify the buyer reasons to make your brand positioning statement, to help communicate the value proposition, so that when you are communicating in terms of even your Instagram posts, even your LinkedIn promotions of personal branding or website
Mhm.
home banners, web banners, landing pages, all that should be ultimately getting drawn from the brand positioning statement,
Correct.
ultimately. Because see, marketing is not about saying 100 things. Marketing is all about saying that one thing 100 times,
Correct.
so that it gets so much reinforced in the minds of the customer that he's correlating every time that brand positioning with your brand,
Correct.
and he wants to buy it.
Correct.
It is so much impact.
Correct. I always say that I just give this example to most of my friends is like, if I want to sleep, right? And if you're trying to sell me lights, beautiful lights, I'm not gonna buy it. But if you try to sell me cozy blanket and a pillow, I'll definitely buy it. So that's basically selling me what I want
So
versus
your
what you
need
want
was
to
a
sell.
good sleep. If
Correct.
your need would have been a good living room, which
Yeah,
looks aesthetically beautiful, then the lights would have fit there. But if
absolutely.
your need is very different, so it has to be the identification of the right customer need
Right.
becomes extremely important.
Right. You now it's a very good point when you said identification of a customer. How would you recommend that people should understand buyer's persona and importance of buyer's persona for a business? What would you recommend people should do about it?
So, it is always important to create a customer profile for a product or a service.
Hmm.
So, again, it will depend upon what the product is. If the product is, suppose, if the service is a coaching institute,
Hmm.
then the service provider has to think, what does the coaching center offer? If
Right.
the coaching center is about senior students, 11th
Hmm.
and 12th, or maybe 10th, 11th, 12th, then, the say of even children makes a very big difference there.
Right.
So awareness to the parents as well as to the children becomes important. But if it is the coaching institute which is only for the younger children, then it is only the parents
Correct.
where the marketing communication has to be documented or has to be made aware of. So
Hmm.
it all depends upon who is going to consume that marketing information, which is going to define the buyer persona. So
Correct.
ultimately, for each and every product or service, one has to first make that buyer persona, that this product is meant for which audience,
Hmm.
this service is meant for which audience.
Hmm. Right.
Basis that the buyer persona has to be defined.
So is it your buyer's persona equal to your target audience?
So, no, not really. Buyer persona plus demographic details, plus also finer details about a customer, like, whether he's married or not, whether he has children or not, what is his income bracket, what is his educational background, where does he live? Does he live in a metropolitan city or does he live in a tier 2 town, tier 3 town? That is why all this social media is also using demographics in such a finer way these days.
Correct.
यू नो
Correct.
जब हम प्रिंट मीडिया में थे तो हम वी यूज टू डिसाइड फॉर आउटडोर मार्केटिंग कि ये आउटडोर बिलबोर्ड जो है दिल्ली बॉम्बे में काम करेगा, बट जो ये आउटडोर बिलबोर्ड है ये शायद इंदौर में काम करेगा, लखनऊ में, कानपुर में, भोपाल में। बट जो मेट्रोपॉलिटन वाला बिलबोर्ड है वो दूसरे ऑफर्स पे काम करेगा, और जो टियर 2 सिटीज वाला बिलबोर्ड है वो दूसरे। तो तब ऐसे बाइफोकेशन की जाती थी। बट
Right.
जो आज की डेट में डेमोग्राफिक्स है वो सोशल मीडिया पे आप स्पेसिफिक कैंपेन्स के लिए द डेमोग्राफिक्स कैन बी लिस्टेड,
Right.
they can be identified based on even to the extent ki, what are the interests of the customer.
Mhm.
Which are the areas of interest? Whether he is interested in, is he a small business owner? Then he'll have interest in, finance and commerce. If is he a, home entrepreneur, then he'll have interest in some other area. So like this, even the interests of the person can be identified.
Right.
The demographics and the buyer persona identification has gone to that deeper a level.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think when you talk about these, so when you said you have to understand what is your product or what is your services, I've seen people struggling in terms of pricing these products and services, right? What would you recommend that people should think and how should they price their product? Because for me, if you ask me, Ajinkya, you're doing XYZ, how much do you charge? The first question in my mind comes, oh, I don't know the price. How much should I charge? And is
Yeah.
it basically customer by customer pricing, or you should stick to one price and then sell to the customers? What would you
So
recommend?
for products, if you're marketing it like products, you'll always have different variants of products, right? You'll have
Right.
to give a definite price to each variant,
Correct.
because then you're doing mass marketing. You're publishing brochures. You're publishing, on website also.
Right.
You're publishing on Instagram handles also. So you cannot do variable pricing. Okay, but as far as the service industry is concerned, when you are pitching to, suppose you're sending a proposal to your client and you're offering a set of services, always those set of services are bound to, get more customized and finer
Correct.
based on that customer. So, then proposal discussion takes a very different route. You'll have to first understand the exact requirements of the customers, and then, you have to pitch in the right pricing to them. And
Hmm.
then, as you said, somebody entrepreneurs are not clear about the pricing. So for that, they have to do market research,
Hmm.
because obviously every product and service may not have direct competition always, because
Correct.
sometimes entrepreneurs feel, I'm very unique, I'm very innovative, so I have brought this product and which nobody has. I've
Right.
brought this service which nobody has. But please remember that every product and every service will, even if it does not have direct competition, it will always have indirect competition.
Correct.
So, please understand the need is being met by something. If not today by, that exclusivity of an innovative product that you have to offer, but the same need is being met by something, some product or service, so that indirect product or service is still available. So
Right.
please map price from that. Always map price from that. If you have for example, today, when I always give this example, that when soft drinks market was very very prevalent,
Hmm.
Coke and Pepsi and Thumbs Up, and they almost had a very good market chunk, so
Right.
that time pricing was always compared between these soft drinks parallelly. But as soon as the health drinks came, as soon as the drinks with health advantages came, like aloe vera juice,
Right.
like, many drinks came, like fruit pulp, like all these, juices came. So then, if you're offering a premium advantage, a premium benefit to the customer, then your price point can be slightly higher
Hmm.
than the existing market segment, though the
Hmm.
product is not the same. But the need is still, you're quenching the thirst of the customer.
Right.
You're still in that drinks market only, though the market is still very different, but it's an extension of the same need.
Right. Right.
So mapping of pricing will always happen either in a direct way or in an indirect way. But
Right.
never a customer, never an entrepreneur can say, "Ki my idea is so unique that, I can demand monopoly in
Correct.
terms of pricing." So never that should be the approach, according to me. It
Right.
should never be the case. One should always assess direct and indirect competition.
Right. You rightly said. Do you think that a USP can drive your pricing?
Yeah, it can definitely, as I said, brand positioning is always based on the value proposition a brand has to offer. So USP is nothing but that unique selling proposition.
Right.
So every brand should always be able to, declare some USPs,
Right.
because based on that only you get competitive advantage. And
Mhm.
once you get competitive advantage, you can demand a little higher price point.
Correct.
If you have those USPs,
Right.
एक होता है ना made up USPs, एक होता
Right.
है actual genuine USPs.
Correct.
So if you have those USPs and if customer is able to relate to those unique propositions,
Hmm.
then obviously customer will not have a problem, paying that higher price.
Right.
That
So
is what.
my question is again, if I don't understand or if I don't know what my USP is micro niching your services will drive the USP or help creating that USP? Or what would you recommend? How should someone understand what their USP is? See, for example, I know PowerPoint very well. I want to sell that as a service. I want to teach PowerPoint to someone and I want to build it as an online business. Now, I know PowerPoint is a very good tool, but I don't know my USP. How would you recommend someone to understand the USP? Is there a technique? Is there a process to understand the USP?
No, so there is no tool per se. One has to, if one needs to identify a USP, then a pilot batch of product samples can be shared with friends, family, extended friend circle, and then those survey formats and feedback formats, can be used to do a study.
Hmm.
And that study should have a list of questions. Okay, what did you like about this product? First question could be a very broad, open-ended one. Then you come to the closed-ended questions, like if we are talking about a chocolate brand, okay, then a person can start talking questions like about the taste, about the aftertaste, about the mouth melting effect, about the lusciousness, about the smoothness, about the feel that tongue gets or the teeth get. So ultimately, about the packaging, about the overall flavor. So there are a lot of points where the person can then go closed-ended. So
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, it needs to begin with an open ended and it has to keep narrowing down to closed ended.
Correct.
Once the marketer does that study, an analysis has to happen of all those survey formats when he is not able to identify USPs. I'm talking
Correct.
about that scenario.
Right. Right.
Ultimately, he'll be able to identify the USPs.
Mm-hmm.
That is how. Second aspect of this is that today it is important to also review the competitor websites. It is important to review the even the Google reviews of competitor, the
Right.
Quora platform, which is a public platform, because then when you know what the customer is getting and what the customer is not getting, so when you know that this is what the customer is getting from the products available in market and this is what the customer is not getting, when you know that gap, USP can help you bridge that gap,
Right. Right.
and then you can present it as your US, because you know that existing products, existing services are able to offer these and meet these things but not able to meet these things, so that
Right.
gap can be bridged.
So yeah, I think I would like to reiterate that, which is very very interesting for me, that reviewing customers' feedback and
Yeah,
negative reviews can build your USP, can build your
that
product and
yes,
services.
you
Right.
have to look at it in an open-ended manner. You have to see, देखो हम क्या do not copy competition.
Right.
Nobody is telling you to copy competition or competition communication or competition ads. Never do that. That is a foolish practice.
Right.
Always, pick up, good things from the competition and benchmark your competitors.
Right.
Always, how can you upscale yourself when you keep benchmarking?
Right.
Going higher one step, going higher one step. So this is how you benchmark. But it is also important to benchmark with your own self and your own, services and products, so that next time you're able to offer the better basket of things to your customers.
Right. So, if someone wants to get into entrepreneurship, right, in a sequential manner, what would you recommend? What is important and what is least important? What do you recommend?
In terms, what did you ask? If he
So,
wants to enter into,
entrepreneurship, and
okay.
if I want to understand what are the sequential thing I should do to be a good entrepreneur or successful entrepreneur, what is the most important thing I should focus first, and what is the least important in the sequential manner?
So, according to me, it is not about becoming an entrepreneur is not a direct dream. It
Correct.
is always a result of some feeling you always had. I want to do this for the world. I want to do this in my field. I want to become like this. So it is always a hidden, latent dream
Right.
that a person has. Secondly, it also depends upon the individual traits and strengths. whether the person is able to take some risks, able to dive into market for trying out for his product, because he may have to face all kinds of feedbacks. So he should be able to prepare himself. एक होता है इंडिविजुअल होता है जो कि कहता है कि मैं जॉब कर लूंगा, मुझे कंपनी से सारे बेनिफिट्स मिल जाएंगे, मैं आई विल कीप एक्सेलिंग देयर। और
Hmm.
एक इंडिविजुअल होता है जो शुरू से ही बोलता है कि कोई बात नहीं, रिस्क लेंगे। So it is all also dependent upon the inherent traits of an individual.
Right.
Again, an invincible mindset plays a very
True.
important role,
True.
I would say.
True.
But at the same time, if an individual has an idea, if an individual has a unique idea, it is always important to do a market feasibility study,
Hmm.
because not always all ideas will give him a stable, marketable kind of a effect.
Correct.
So idea could be good, but idea may not be marketable.
Hmm.
Idea may not have a market opportunity. So that idea has to be converted into a definitive opportunity.
Right.
Then only the definitive opportunity will convert into a definitive revenue for him.
Correct.
So that is what business is all about.
Correct.
It cannot be only an idea thing. It has to be a market feasibility done on that idea.
Right. So, for example, if I have to sequence, if I understand the statement rightly, so first you will have to have an idea.
Yeah,
Then you'll have to do a market research whether the idea is feasible or not. Right.
correct.
Then you'll have to understand the competitors who are actually working in around
That,
directly or indirectly on that idea.
yes,
Then understand what you can produce as a service or a product based on your research, and then build everything around it. Once you have that product and or a minimum viable product, share it with your friends and family and get their feedback,
exactly.
which is basically you're creating your USP. And once
Correct.
you have your USP, then you should think about how should you build the processes and the like you said,
Then you need to understand that what will be the brand positioning,
brand position.
what will be the communication objective,
Right.
whether it will match the TG needs or not, the
Mhm.
target customer needs or not. And if
Right.
it is exactly matching, then what price I have to make an offering, whether I'm matching the competitors, or am I going above the competitors. If I'm
Yeah.
going above the competitors, whether I'm having those definitive USPs through which I can sell and which can support my marketing efforts,
Right.
then yes, I make a go ahead. And of course, after all this also, what will be my marketing process? Which geography which I will I start with?
Hmm.
What will be the product presented as? Who will handle my operations?
Correct.
Do I need a team? Do I
Right.
need any outsourcing partner?
Mhm.
You have to n number of things, of course, n number of things,
Right.
because an entrepreneur initially has to wear multiple hats. उसको ये नहीं सोचना है कि वो सेल्स करेगा कि नहीं करेगा, मार्केटिंग करेगा कि नहीं करेगा,
Right.
इनवॉइस रेज करेगा कि उसको ही करना है, उसको ही करना है. It is only down the line, it is over a period of years that you actually build a system for yourself.
Right. So
You
I
know,
think you're saying that once the process or product becomes a little mature, then systems comes in, because until
yeah,
then you work as a single person. Then you later on, once you start generating revenue, you then outsource it, and then once you generate a great revenue, then you build your team, and then you
yes.
bring in systems. So systems are last,
Absolutely.
right?
So,
You're saying.
as I said in the very beginning, Ajinkya, that it is always a bigger goal. It will give you smaller goals.
Right.
So, these are the smaller goals which will
Great.
actually pave a direction for you. And
Hmm.
in the first year, this is my target. If I beat this target, if I'm able to achieve this target, then I go to the next year.
Hmm.
Next year, this is my target. Third year, this is my target. Because you have to keep assessing your performance.
True.
Because if you're not assessing and measuring your performance, then there is no direction. You lose the direction somewhere.
Right.
So you cannot keep stretching your deadlines. What I mean to say, you can't
Right.
keep being so flexible about your deadlines that your achievements become negligible. So
Right.
that cannot be the case.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think in this process, it happened with most of my friends, and I've received calls from them as well, that there is a phase where self doubt comes in, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
exactly are you doing? Are you doing the right thing?
This
Uh,
happens with everyone.
Everyone, I've seen
Everyone.
all of my friends who are into entrepreneurship. They call me sometime and they say, "Arya, this is what is happening. What should I do?" I said, "It happens with me as well." And what I do is basically I just talk to myself. What would you recommend? Like, how should someone? build that mindset that yes, I'm going to hit the ceiling? What should I do that time?
So, according to me, a person should not consider, failure in one single thing or failure in one single step as a failure,
Right.
right? Because ultimately, the person has to understand that failure is a part of the process.
Correct.
Nobody can be successful in all 100 things.
Right.
You will be successful in 50 things. You may not be successful in even 50. You may be successful in 30 and you're failing in 70. But
Correct.
do not lose heart. Always learn from your failures. Always understand that failure is like a challenge.
True.
आप एक बार उसमें fail कर रहे हो, आप next time आप उसको challenge की तरह लो. So it is all about embracing those challenges and moving forward.
True.
Challenges are a part of the game.
Right.
Whether an individual is in corporate world, I would not put it even differently in corporate world. There
Hmm.
also you will get challenges. In entrepreneurship also you will get challenges. And even if you're not doing entrepreneurship, you're just taking your family business forward.
Hmm.
You have all systems in place, but still you will get challenges. So challenges will never leave you. If you think that challenges will leave you, so that will never happen. So always embrace challenges, have a positive mindset, move forward, but try to always analyze the reasons of failure.
Right.
If you will analyze the reasons of failure, maybe the chances of facing a next failure will be much lesser.
Right.
So analysis of your failures and choosing the right direction is extremely important.
Hmm.
Even taking feedback from people, taking feedback from your own customers can help a number of times.
Correct. Do you, I think this is one thing which has been always there in my mind. Do you think that reading books can help you build a strong mind in the sense of being an entrepreneurship? Is a reading book helpful? What do you recommend?
So, according to me, reading anything, whether it is a book or it's an online source or it's an article on a daily basis or it is a latest current affair information or it is, reading reviews or it is reading community blogging, blogs, information which is from the right source and in the positive direction can do the betterment.
Right.
So this is what I think. So आजकल के time में all of us are actually struggling with time management a lot, because
Absolutely.
we are first of all having this technology thing. We are not keeping our phones aside. We are all the time hooked on social media.
Right.
Especially entrepreneurs, they have to be on the go because वो 24/7 मॉडल पे काम करते हैं.
True.
क्योंकि वो ये नहीं बोल सकते कि मैसेज उन्होंने पढ़ा नहीं या मैसेज मिस हो गया बिकॉज entrepreneur की अपनी अकाउंटेबिलिटी हो जाती है.
Correct.
ठीक है, वो ये नहीं बोल सकते कि नेक्स्ट डे दे विल अटेंड टू एन ईमेल. ठीक है, इट्स ओके, दे कैन अटेंड टू द ईमेल द नेक्स्ट डे, बट they have the accountability to onus is completely on them.
Correct.
So what I'm trying to say here is that one has to have that you know aura of taking it up,
Right.
aura of taking it up all, then they should jump into this. And information, of course, will play a role because information will tell them ways and means to do it.
Right.
अगर आप कुछ भी पढ़ते हो, you become open minded, you get exposed to 10 new things. So that will open up your mind that this can be done in this way also, that way also. So obviously that is going to be helpful.
Right.
Obviously.
I think I have been reading a lot of books these days, so I thought that why don't we ask someone who is an expert in digital world, will this help? Yeah, I think it helps a lot. But do you think that, like you rightly said, time management is the issue for every single individual, be it corporate,
Every single.
be it entrepreneur, be it a homemaker? I mean, even if that is very difficult, right? What do you think that people should do to have an effective time management? I think this is a very important question for everyone.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic. And I have I am by passion, I'm running an Insta handle,
Okay.
which is called as Prep for Success.
Okay.
Okay, it is called as Prep for Success 1 2 3 4.
Okay.
And those of you who are listening this to this podcast, I would really want you to follow that because I keep bringing new things on that as far as softer parts of an entrepreneur is concerned, and as far as the hardcore marketing knowledge is concerned.
Right. Right.
So I'm driving it towards personal growth objective as well as marketing growth of products and services.
Right.
So there I spoke in one of the videos about time management also.
Mhm.
So according to me, it is important to do time boxing while you're
Okay.
planning your time.
Okay.
every day.
Mm-hmm.
So according to me, time boxing means that dividing your day in fixed number of slots,
Mm-hmm.
and place your tasks or objectives for the day and
Right.
time box them. By time boxing, I mean that you need to place a time window
Okay.
against each task. Okay, maybe task A between 8 to 9:30, the
Mm.
task B between 10 o'clock to 11:30,
Mm.
all my telephonic communications between 12 to 1:30. So like that, you have to time box. Once you start time boxing, you feel more accountable
Mm.
about the time window that you have kept or assigned for a particular task.
Right.
But what is all the more important is that you should, assign the right amount of time window for a
Right.
particular task. It should not be the case that your planning goes overwhelming,
Right.
and then you are sitting in the evening and you're assessing your performance for the day. You're actually, you're able to take only two tasks out of the 10 tasks that you listed. So
True.
there, that becomes demotivating,
Right. Right.
that becomes overwhelming, and maybe it will pull you down for the next day also,
Right.
somewhere. So you need to be sure whatever planning you are also doing, पहले आप गलत करोगे, एक दो दिन आप गलत करोगे, चार पांच दिन आप गलत करोगे, फिर आप अपने ही आप देखो कि how much are you able to produce,
Right.
productivity क्या है आपकी, assess that and do the planning again in the next week, then in the third week, then in the fourth week. You'll obviously able to you'll come to a level that yes, now my planning is happening at an optimal level that I'm
Right.
able to achieve also, and I'm able to drive also
Mm.
further. So that, and a day should always be divided into two broad parts. One part should be the actual task thing, and
Okay.
the other part should be thinking.
Okay.
Newer things, newer leads, newer customers, new ideas that I'm going to drive my business. So it should be task part, and it should be the ideation part. It should be both.
Yeah.
Because then you groom yourself, your business, your skills,
Mm-hmm.
and everything, your personality per se,
Right.
overall. This is
Right.
what I have been doing. And there are a number of days you will feel आप एक भी task नहीं कर पाए हो. But don't get boggled. This happens with everyone.
Right.
Everyone.
Right.
Try to bring it to the next day, and then see next day you may be able to pull up even better.
Right.
जब एक भी नहीं हुआ बट अगले दिन 10 के जगह 20 हो गए. So
True.
it depends at times, some unpredictable factors play a role which you
Right.
do not have control on. So always be flexible, but within a disciplined environment. That
Correct.
is what the message is.
Right.
Always be flexible, but within a boundaries of that discipline.
Right. Cool.
Yeah,
You said right that you should divide your task into two broad categories, tasks and ideation.
correct.
Should we start with tasks, or should we start our day with ideation first and then get into tasks?
No. So we should always remember, according to me, this approach has always worked. Always start smaller tasks first.
Okay.
Always.
Okay.
Because, that gives you a feeling of accomplishment.
True.
5 tasks also, if you have taken up, it gives you a feeling of a good amount of accomplishment. And, you feel that, yes, the day is going productive, the day is going productive, the day is going productive. So it's like that. It
True.
is important because ideation has no boundaries, but when
Right.
you time box tasks, first finish those tasks which you have time boxed.
Right.
Then, leave some productive hours for ideation, for newer things, for newer discussions, for brainstorming, for
Mm.
reading, for online courses,
Right.
for whatever, you
Right.
want to do that thing.
True.
Exactly. And at times you'll also find your day like this, that you have a G meet in the morning, you have a telephonic call in the afternoon. Then if that is interspersed like this, then in the middle you have to form your task windows. So
Right.
it all depends upon that particular day which
Right.
you're planning.
True. We talked
Yeah.
about you talked about telephoning calls. In this business world, do you still think that cold calling is
No, 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 no. I'm not referring to the cold calling
okay?
here.
Okay.
I'm referring to the already planned meetings
Okay.
which are happening telephonically. Yeah,
Right. But
all
my question
planned
is,
discussions which are
yeah.
happening telephonically.
But my question is towards cold calling. Do you
Yeah.
think that is it still valid in this digital world or no?
No, so in digital world, the cold lead will always be digital first.
Okay.
The next step would be a telephonic call. Cold lead will be through a DM only, through a DM either on LinkedIn or on Instagram or on Facebook, or the people who have checked you on Google. And if a business has given their phone number, so
Hmm.
they are reaching you because they had a requirement, right?
Right.
So that no longer remains cold. It
Right.
becomes a lead that has come through a need, through a
Yeah.
query.
But I think mostly people struggle with lead generation, right?
Yeah.
Businesses are struggling with generating qualified leads, right? Lead can be anything. It could be someone who is just clicking on your ad, and or maybe someone who is just clicking on your content and just looking at it and just going away. But what should we do to mostly convert our efforts towards a qualified lead?
So it's a big chapter in itself.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So qualified lead will always be driven through what kind of communication. As I said, everything boils down to your communication.
Right.
What products and services you are offering, and what kind of communication you're making in your
Hmm.
ads, in
Hmm.
your communication campaigns. Whether does it match with your products offerings, your service offerings or not? If it matches, then it will be very, very, very logical enough. Very, very, chances are very bright that you will get qualified leads.
Right.
If it does not match, then the problem arises, because person is getting some other interpretation from your ad, but the product and service is something else. So
True.
interpretation and matching of products and services is not happening. That is why the lead does not get qualified.
Okay.
Otherwise, largely you will get qualified leads if the communication is right in your advertisements, in your campaigns, like that.
So, would you recommend running ads for leads or content for leads? Like, what is the maximum impact for leads?
So, see, always, as I said, organic.
Yeah.
Jitna organic, there is a graph like this, Ajinkya.
Hmm.
There's a graph like this. If you do paid marketing, it will go like this, and it will come like this. It'll come like this. But let it not go down to zero level. If
Hmm.
you will do paid marketing, there can be peaks. But there'll be a consistent graph still has to be there. That
Right.
consistent graph will only be through organic content posting.
Okay. Okay.
And that organic content posting should also be strategic.
Right.
इट शुड बी डन स्ट्रेटेजिकली. ये नहीं कि आज मैंने ये कर दिया, कल मैंने वो कर दिया, परसों मैंने वो कर दिया. नो, इट हैज टू बी अ स्ट्रेटेजिक कम्युनिकेशन कैलेंडर which
Right.
has to be aligned with your brand positioning and communication highlights,
Right.
which has to speak about your brand personality.
Right.
Because अगर brand voice नहीं maintain होगा ना, अगर वो personality से match नहीं होगा brand personality से, तो वो communication का absorption नहीं होगा.
Right.
क्योंकि कभी वो किसी TG को touch करेगा, कभी वो किसी TG को, तो consistency तो आई ही नहीं.
Right.
So, brand voice building, brand voice maintenance is very, very important.
Very,
That's why
very
these days they are saying ki on digital media, you have to maintain a brand voice as well as you have to maintain consistently a brand voice
correct.
so that you can build a niche for yourself.
True.
The more you build a niche for yourself, the better you're going to get noticed in the
Right.
digital media.
Yeah, I think visibility is something very important. Like you said, noticed.
Yeah.
People, like most of the entrepreneurs think that content posting is waste of time, right? They join some business networking groups where they feel that they'll get a lot of businesses. But I feel that digitally they can do a lot of better job in getting more businesses if they build a brand voice, if they build a USP, if they create content which resonates, relevant, and relate with people. And I think that's how people can generate more leads. But I think social media has been a very good tool for all the entrepreneurs to get more businesses. And I think I've seen a lot of turnover from social media. What would you recommend? How important social media is for a business?
So I have a little different say here. I
Okay.
have, though social media
Yeah.
extremely important, but it plays a role in brand awareness more.
Hmm.
As far as brand authority building is concerned, still I would rate a website higher.
How is it?
Still I would rate, the email lists that get formed from a database and the personalized communication that happens higher.
Oh.
Social media is more, I would say, to create a brand noise, a brand awareness, So every brand today is expected to have social media,
True.
is expected to be present on Instagram,
Right.
it is expected to have a Facebook business page.
Right.
So every brand is expected by the customers. Why? Because when they are discussing a product or service, they would say, I would like to see your handle, I
Hmm.
would like to log into your handle and see what you have to offer.
Right.
Even they're not convinced with that personal communication. They want to
True.
still see social media.
Right.
So that is becoming an expectation more.
Right.
But the point number two is that social media is always interest based scrolling.
Hmm.
You always scroll social media as a matter of interest mode. But when a customer has need mode, then still it will first go to Google,
Right.
and it will first put the need in the search box.
Correct.
That, okay, I need a nearby service which is in this niche,
Hmm.
right? It on Instagram, they take a notice of the brand, but it is still an interest based scrolling, whereas Google is still a need based scrolling.
True. True.
Yeah, so that is why when you're building a brand, social media is becoming a must though, but still it is an interest based scrolling. So if you have to really better your brands, a website is also important.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think these are really, really great points. I think it was eye-opening for me because I have my thought process was completely different, and with your experience and learnings which you have shared today, I have completely changed my mindset. But I think this is really helpful for anyone who wants to get into entrepreneurship, who wants to build a brand, who wants to know how exactly they should take steps in terms of growing their business, right? So I
Yeah.
really want to thank Neeru today for joining us and sharing the knowledge, which is very important for everyone who is thinking of building a business, who is thinking of getting to understand what branding is, what marketing is, what importance of a customer persona is, how important is a process and a system is, right? I think this is really, really helpful. How would people reach out to you if they want to know more about your product and services?
So I would, first of all, they can definitely follow Prep for Success for regular learnings in the field of marketing and personal growth.
Hmm.
Maybe tomorrow when we repost this or when I repost this, I'll put the handle there.
Right.
You can reach me on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I'm present as Neeru Sood,
Okay.
as a strategic branding consultant
Right.
since quite a number of years.
Right.
And I can be, of course, I have a Facebook business page also of Prep for Success.
Right.
I am Facebook also. I'm present on as Neeru Sood, or on LinkedIn also. I'm present as Neeru Sood.
Right.
So the name can be searched,
Right.
and with that, they can reach me. They can DM me and they can reach me.
Sure. I think so. Anyone who wants to understand what brand is, how to strategize your brand and positioning, please reach out to Neeru Sood. I'm going to post her handles and all the details where you can reach out to her and get benefit in terms of growing your business, your brand positioning, and your marketing efforts. So I really want to thank Neeru today for joining us and being part of this Being Invincible movement, where we are planning or where we are focused of building an invincible mindset. So today it was for all the entrepreneurs, but it implicates for everyone who wants to build an invincible mindset. So thank you for joining us
Thank you
today.
so much, Ajinkya. It was wonderful interacting with you on this podcast. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Take care.